going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So we're still continuing forward with the front axle fabrication for the Killin It mega truck. Just got the freaking phone call from the shop that was lasering out the parts for us for that new front axle. So I'm gonna head on over, pick those parts up. Then we're gonna head to the Mad Scientist home laboratory so we can start fabbing this new front axle up. If y'all have no idea what I'm talking about or what's going on with the Killin It mega truck, go a little bit further on in the channel, check out Killin It Resurrection episode 7. That was the last episode that we did of the Killin It Resurrection series, where we're bringing my broke Killin It mega truck back to life. Oh yeah, she got a blown up motor, messed up axles, all kinds of problems. So we're getting it all dialed in, getting Bring Old Girl back freaking better than ever. So we're gonna go with 2 turbochargers. So we're gonna have twin turbos? Mr. Killin, you have a question? Like a twin turbo Duramax? Mr. Killin It. Like a twin turbo Duramax mega truck? So, as always, make sure you hit the like button at the bottom of the screen and hit the subscribe button down there in my channel name. That way you get notified anytime I upload any other videos, like more super bitch and Killin It Resurrection videos, mud bogging videos, truck tug of war videos, bikini contest, man, all kinds of good stuff on that channel. I'm gonna hurry up and go jump in the truck, go grab those parts, and head on over to the Mad Scientist shop so we can start mocking up this new front axle. All right, y'all, so my electronics started screwing up again. I picked those freaking parts up and I recorded. I went over to the Mad Scientist home laboratory, started kind of setting the parts up, how they're supposed to go on the axle, and for whatever reason, my camera didn't save all the freaking video. So I'm gonna head back over there actually right now, because there's a couple other things we gotta do too, but we're gonna actually go start mocking up this axle and setting the different plates, how they go. Some of them are already set up, so I'll go through and kind of show you how it's all gonna lay out. Here we go. That's not where they go, bro. Brian. Having fun, dude? What, you're not even gonna hold it up? All that goofing around, you're not even gonna hold it? What a dick. What a dick. Anyways, y'all, it freaking, it's gonna go on like this, and there's gonna be another one right next to it, and that is where my sway bar link is gonna hold on to. Can't believe Brian went freaking hold it and show you. Some people. And then check out these brackets. Oh, brother. Look at all that welding surface. And it actually goes all the way up and touches the freaking shock mount. And then when we build our gusseting that goes underneath here out of that piece of 2x4, that will butt right up this bottom side of that. So everything will tie in. Oh, brother. That's freaking cool. Kind of like a steering bar, but that's pretty much the same as the way I had it before. Let's go just like that with one right below it. Hell yeah. And my big freaking massive D-rings. Probably go all right. Dude, that axle is gonna look amazing. I am so happy we're doing this. It's coming out way better than I thought it would. Didn't think it'd come out bad, but I didn't think it'd be this cool. Look how beefy and strong them things are. We were gonna put pockets in them, but we decided not to, because I really don't even think you'll notice if there was pockets or not. It's kind of hidden all by the flange and everything. So instead, it's just super freaking strong. What? What was that, sir? God, what is with him? Anyways, so got a good idea of how everything's gonna fit. I think tomorrow we're gonna come on over and weld old girl up. Then it's off with the sandblaster and some paint. See y'all in a minute. All right, y'all, now that we got all the parts here, now it's time to start prepping them. I'm gonna go through and just kind of clean up all the edges and whatnot. Well, this one, decent example. See that little lip right there? Yeah, that little edge. Grinding stuff like that off with a laser, like penetrated in and out of the material. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all the edges. And then I'm also going to go around everything with this sweet new tool that I got. So you know when the Mad Scientist is making all these parts for me all the time, always asking him to put like a big chamfer on everything, because I think it looks cool. It kind of like dresses the part up a little bit. So chamfer, basically like a beveled edge, like rather than having a sharp edge like that, I like having like a little planed out edge. It makes the part look a lot cleaner, I think. And also it makes the paint stick a lot better. When you've got sharp edges like that, especially where it's like a 90-degree angle like that, it's a good opportunity for the paint to be able to peel up. To where if you got a little 45 right there, it kind of allows the paint to transition a lot better and a lot less likely that it will break apart. So that being said, Bobby Brown let me in on this sweet new tool that he just got. Basically, it's like a router for steel. It's like got a little 45 right in there, and then you can adjust the depth of this top plate to really make your chamfer bigger or smaller. Obviously, I've got it jacked all the way up because I like having big giant chamfers. I think that's what makes stuff look really cool. So I'm gonna go through and clean up all those edges, all those little, yeah, this one's got a bad one too. See that little groove right there? Yeah, cleaning stuff like that off and then putting a chamfer on everything. So that is what I'm gonna start working on right now, because tomorrow we are gonna start welding all this stuff on the axle. So gotta get everything prepped and ready to rock and roll. Here we go. All right, y'all, now for the next step of the prepping process, came on over to R&D Concepts to use some of Brian's sweet freaking toys. So what I'm doing is modifying these blocks so we can use them as the shock mount support gussets, or like, I guess you call them like support brackets. So I've got both the shock mounts, they kind of come up off the axle, and then the shock mounts in the center of it. Well, this is gonna get welded in between the two shock mounts to give it a little more support so that those shock mounts don't ever start to bend one way or another. The problem is when you're getting regular size stock, it doesn't actually fit exactly where I need to. So I cut it to 3 5/8 inch long, and then I'm using his machine to actually machine it down so I get rid of that rough edge, get rid of that rough edge, machining it down to make it exactly 3 1/2 inches in length. And then I've got to take a little bit off of the width of it because this is 2 inches wide and my shock mounts are like 1.83 or so. So I'm going to take it down to 1.85. So that this will be a perfect spacer in between each of the two shock mounts in each corner of the truck. So, I've already done 2 of them. This is what they look like when they're finished. See, it's got that kind of cleaner edge to it. Comparatively speaking, I guess they're both pretty clean. But there's definitely a size difference. Like these are the 2 that I already did, and that is the other one. So not a whole lot of difference, just enough to matter. A little bit too long, and a little bit too wide. So I'm loading them here in the manual mill. Load the blocks in, take a little bit off the length, probably take a little bit off of either side, but then make sure my length is proper. And then flip it over sideways, take a little bit off of the width, and then those brackets are ready to rock and roll. Now, last thing I got to do, this is what we're going to use for the pull point in the center of the axle. It actually attaches to the steering mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this outer edge because I don't think my saw blade was exactly square when I cut this off. So I'm gonna go ahead and true that up, and then I'm gonna put a little chamfer all the way around it so it's nice and easy to weld to. Go ahead and throw the earbuds in and it's freaking party time, yo. All right, y'all, now that I got the end taken care of, now I got to take a little bit off the top, a little bit off the bottom so that that block will fit right in between those 2 steering plates. Well, y'all, that was a freaking late night, but got all the freaking parts. Well, not all of them. Most of the parts, got them all prepped up. All the ones for this axle. If you remember, I'm replacing the brackets that are on the rear axle as well, so that way they all match up with this new super bitchin' design we got going on with these parts. I'll tell you that, real freaking deal. Things are gonna be way stronger. Not that they were ever gonna pull off before, but now I'm pretty sure you can hang my truck off any one of them freaking brackets. But anyways, I got all the tabs prepped for the front axle. I still got to do the ones for the rear axle. I've got like about a quarter of the ones done for the rear axle. And I got my buddy Collins actually giving me a hand and freaking putting the chamfer on them too and getting them all dialed in, getting all the edges cleaned up. Thing's gonna look super bitchin', I'll tell you that. So I just got out of work and now we're heading on over to the Mad Scientist home laboratory so we can go ahead and start melting some metal and get them tabs added onto that new axle housing. I was gonna do the welding myself, but I'd say 7 out of 8 welds look great. But there's always that eighth one that ends up looking all shit back because something's not quite right. So, mad scientist, his well is like a freaking work of art, like a masterpiece, like freaking Picasso himself done. Laid them wells, just stacking them dimes right in there, bruh. So, mad scientist is going to help me weld them brackets on. He's a good freaking guy, that mad scientist fella. I'll tell you that. Anything under the sun, he freaking gets it done. So, just about to his house, so it's freaking go time. Getting pretty freaking close with the axles, but I got a little idea at the end of the night last night. I've got such a pain in the ass. I should have explained this when the axle was sitting right there, but I'll show you all when I get back to the mad scientist later today. But basically, I have such a pain in the ass time with these axles because we put those big trusses on the bottom of them, so there's no real flat spot. So anytime I'm lifting the truck up, I always put that floor jack right underneath the center like differential area. But when I've got it on jack stands, like when I'm swapping out the wheels or if I'm working on one of the outer hubs, one of the planetary outers or something like that, I don't have a flat spot to put a jack stand, which is kind of spooky. In the past, I've always been kind of putting the jack stand underneath that truss, but that truss is at a little bit of an angle, so it's a little bit sketchy because hopefully it wouldn't happen, but there's a possibility that the truck could slip off the jack stand and end up falling, especially if I have the whole hub off it and everything. So, got an idea. While we've got this axle on the table and we've fabbing it all up, what if we fabricated some kind of like a little pad to put under one of the outer edges of that axle housing, that axle center housing, to where it'd be a flat pad for me to be able to put a jack stand so it's nice and secure anytime I'm working on it. So, ran this idea by the mad scientist, and he had a really cool idea. We had a couple different ideas on how to make this happen, but he came up with the one that we're gonna end up going with. So let me show you what we're gonna do. I've got this extra piece of 1x2 solid steel here. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this down a little bit, and then I'm gonna use that manual mill that I was using to work down all the parts and put the chamfers on all the parts and everything. I'm gonna use that, and I'm actually gonna machine that shape out of it. Can you see? There you go. That kind of like pie cut looking deal with like a notch at the top. Right here. This whole like pie cut deal, and then like the notch at the end. So I'm gonna machine that completely out, because that will basically be welded onto the bottom of the axle, right onto that truss, and a little bit onto that outer flange. Then once this part that's all X'd out of here, once that's machined out, then this flat surface right here will be what the jack stand will sit on anytime I'm working on the truck. And this little lip at the end will keep the jack stand from ever kicking out or sliding all the way off the axle. So that is the next step. I'm gonna head over to the Mad Scientist shop here shortly and start machining this baby down. I'm freaking whooped, but the axle's all welded up. Oh brother, freaking go time. Check out this bad son bitch. Thing is looking super on point, if I say so myself. Just spent a ton of time getting all the welding slag off, cleaning her all up. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. So this was my old shock mount. Show you how freaking hardcore this baby is. So this is my old one, and this is my new one. Dude, it's like light years difference as far as strength. God, that one just had that little bar in that one's got a huge ass block of steel. Woohoo! Damn, son. I'm gonna call it even though, and we're gonna leave the axle here over the weekend, and I'm gonna come by and pick it up on Tuesday morning, take it over to the sandblaster, get sandblasted, painted, then we can start reassembling and putting her back on the truck. So we'll reconvene again shortly, yo. All right, y'all. Today's a big day, sandblasting time. Damn. She's gonna look pretty different when we come back and pick her up. I tell you what, getting closer, y'all. Whoa, that was quick, huh? It's actually a couple days our time, but anyways, axle housing is all blasted, and damn, she looks good. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Sisters, I tell you that. Freaking real deal. So we're gonna get her all loaded up, and actually during our little waiting period, I went ahead and fabbed this thing together too. Little freaking stand to put it on for when we paint it. Make it much easier to move it around without messing up the paint. And ideally, I think I measured it right. I hope I did. Should be able to have bolts come right through here and go right in the flange there on that outer side. So it should hold it right in the stand absolutely perfectly. Super freaking dialed in. So let's get her loaded up. All right, we got her loaded up, and I gotta say, the stand worked out pretty damn good. Freaking fabbed that baby up myself. Got just enough room. We kind of can shift over towards the other side just a little bit. But bam, super dialed in. So there's plenty of room to get the paint gun underneath it, be able to get it nice and painted up. Hell yeah. So over to the paint shop. All right, y'all, it took some freaking doing, but we officially have the axle housing back at the house. Boy, doesn't she look pretty as ever. God, look at all that wet look. And it's dry. It's been drying for like about a week now. So it is definitely plenty cured out. And she looks amazing. But I'm getting a pretty late start tonight, so I'm not going to be able to do too much. I think my goal for this evening is going to be to go through. I'm going to get these studs out so I can clean them, get all the paint off them, because that paint will goof up the threads when I'm trying to put the center chunk back in. So I'm going to pull all these studs out, and then I've got all the studs that were in my other axle housing that's outside there. Actually, I want to go ahead and take a second and kind of explain what's going on with these studs. So obviously this axle housing, it didn't have all the studs in it when I started, and that's why some of them are missing. But one thing I kind of wanted to fill you all in on that I didn't learn until being friends with the mad scientist, learned all kinds of stuff from that guy, freaking 24/7. But when I had the original axle installed in the front of the truck, it was again missing some studs as well. And you can't really just go to the store and buy studs to be able to replace the missing studs that are missing from your axle housing. They're kind of hard to come by. I've looked online a whole bunch, tried a bunch of different people trying to find them, and there's not really a good reliable source for getting those studs, at least not that I found yet. But when I was originally putting that front axle together, like quite a few years ago, I was told that it didn't really matter what hardware you're using as long as you're tightening it down. So if you don't have a stud, go ahead and just get a bolt that's the same threads and go ahead and thread the bolt in there. Well, the mad scientist kind of learned me something real quick about this. Yeah, okay, it might kind of work in a pinch to go ahead and take a bolt that's a similar thread and put it in there, but there's a reason why they use studs. You can get studs a lot tighter than you can bolts. So for our application, I mean, it's on a mega truck. That axle is getting abused a bit more than it typically would in its road use on a regular 5-ton vehicle. So yeah, I want it to be as stout as possible and as strong as can be. So that being said, originally I had a couple studs that were missing, so I had replaced them with bolts. But now that I've got this new axle housing and I've got my old axle housing, I can basically combine the studs if I pull them out of both axles. Then I've got enough to complete this axle. And then also when we get around to doing the rear axle, I can go ahead, pull the couple bolts that I've got in there and actually have studs all over everything. So everything will be as tight as possible. So again, obviously it's held up since now. I didn't have any issue with my center chunk ever coming loose. But if you can make something as cool as you can, then you might as well go ahead and take a second to go ahead and do it, right? Plus, y'all got to learn something right there. You're welcome. And the reason behind that, he kind of took a second to explain that to me too. When you've got a bolt, as you're trying to tighten it, you're tightening not only like the head of the bolt, but all the threads that go all the way down into the hole that you're trying to put the bolt into. To where if you've got a stud and you get the stud in there nice and secure, you put whatever you're trying to secure around the stud, and then you put the nut on top, all you have is the friction of just that nut like face surface basically going against whatever part it is. Y'all kind of picturing what I'm saying? So to give you kind of a visual, if you're using a bolt to try to secure your material down, as you tighten this bolt down into the hole, you're going to have the resistance of all of these threads as it's going down. And then once it gets tight, you're going to have the resistance of the friction of the bottom of the head of the bolt. That's a lot of potential resistance that's taking away from your ability to really get this down even tighter onto your material. To where if you've got the other way, to where you got just a stud sticking out, as you're tightening your nut onto the stud, all you've got is the friction of the bottom of the nut going against your material. So you can get it in essence a hell of a lot tighter as you're putting it onto a stud as opposed to the bolt. And that concludes your 30-second lesson on studs versus bolts. Now back to the axle. I'm gonna clean up all the studs though and see if I can't get all of them installed, get all the new ones installed. I'm probably, once this is all empty and all the studs are out, I'll go ahead and scuff this up pretty good so that way when I put the RVT on here, lower the center chunk in, it'll seal up real good. So clean it up, get the studs cleaned up, get the studs reinstalled, probably put a touch of RVT on the bottom set of threads so that way once I get these studs in here nice and tight, that RVT will set up, it'll kind of help them stay in there and not come out. If I ever have to pull the center chunk out again, then it won't back the stud out too. Hopefully that RVT will help hold it in there. So it has taken a freaking while, but I am definitely pretty happy with how this is coming out. I mean, oh damn, look at how shiny she is. Look at it. I can like see myself in the damn reflection of the black paint. All them freaking brackets look super bitchin' too, don't they? So much better than that crap I had. I tell you that. If you compare this super banging bracket, big old block of steel in there to hold it all together, you compare that to my old bracket, this damn thing was super, don't drop it on the new axle. Super amateur hour, look at that. What's this crap, huh? What the hell? I'm supposed to be killing it, not kyling it. Now that is freaking killing it. For a real freaking deal. What a difference, huh? Go. This one looks so much better. So, well, enough jawing for right now. Let's go ahead and get these studs out, get this baby scuffed up, get the studs cleaned up, and get the new studs put in. Ready, set, go. All right, y'all, I got a little late last night, but I did get all the studs removed, and then I got the holes re-tapped with a fresh tap so it cleans out all the threads. So when I put the studs back in with that RVT on it, it should slide in there nice and easy. But the axle does look really good. It's super glossy and like it looks really good, but it could look better. This is bugging the living shit out of me, and we got to do something about it. OCD's freaking kicking in. Perfectionist, sometimes it's my detriment. I freaking let you know. So, let me show you what I'm talking about. Right freaking there. See how ugly that is? It's all like speckled looking. Because it's all pitted is what the problem is, because this axle's so old. It's pitted here, and there we actually had to weld the vent shut, so I did grind it, and God, that looks way better than the rest of this. That, and there's also some dirt in it. If you, yeah, see, look at that. These are, it's like, yeah, dirt in the paint. Right here. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of, it's 50-50. Not leaving it like that. It's already all apart. It's on the freaking painting cart. Sack up, Zacko. We're gonna go through this nice, pretty paint job. I'm gonna get the grinder, and we're gonna go ahead and get this little bit of sand out of it. I'm gonna grind those as much as I can, those dents and dimples out of it, and then we're gonna reshoot it because, yeah, no sense in doing something unless you're gonna do it right. Right? Freaking tell you. So, time to get out the freaking grinder. All right, y'all. We just got the axle back from the freaking paint shop. Whew, that was definitely worth doing 100%. Y'all want to see it? It looks freaking good. It looks super bitchin'. Telling you, letting you know, super freaking killing it, yo. I'm very happy with how it came out with, and I don't regret my decision whatsoever of redoing it because, God, this thing looks sick. So it's a lot of buildup, Y'all feeling it? Y'all freaking feeling it in your bones, feeling it in your balls? You feel that? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, bam! Now tell me that doesn't look sick as hell. Oh, remember all that pitting? That's a little bit of smudges on there from when I was wiping earlier, but oh, brother. Look at that shine. Oh! Over here, remember it's all pitted up? Not no more. Thing looks real freaking deal. All that dirt that was on the top there, it's got fingerprints on it. We have to worry about fingerprints. That's how good this paint job looks. Look at that. Oh, God. All the paint. Oh, you can see me in there. Right there. See that guy? Real freaking deal. He's kind of ugly, but whatever. We'll let him go. Look at that. No freaking dirt whatsoever. And glossy as hell. Look at that thing. That's real deal. That's killing it, Axle, for sure. So now that we've got the paint all freaking dialed in, the next step I'm going to go through and start actually cleaning the interior of the axle. If y'all look, like, I got it kind of clean, but there's still like some crap in there. So I'm going to clean it out really, really good with some brake cleaner. Then the next step, I got all these studs out earlier and then I retapped all the holes. So the next step is to start reinstalling all the studs. Put a little bit of RVT on them before I put them in there. So hopefully when I tighten them up in there, they'll actually stay. So if I ever have to pull the center chunk out again, I undo the nuts to pull the center chunk out. The stud will actually stay in there rather than where half of the freaking studs come out and then sometimes the nut comes off, sometimes it doesn't. Now, hopefully we avoid that whole freaking debacle. So put all the studs back in there, and then it's time to lower the center chunk back in. Yeah, lower the center chunk back in. And then I think I'm going to, what's the next step going to be? Once the chunk's back in, then I'll wheel it back out to the truck. And then I can actually use my handy dandy cherry picker over there that I borrowed from Mr. Adrenaline. And I can actually pick the whole axle up from the center chunk like I was doing back before. And then I'll be able to finagle the axle underneath the truck, get it kind of positioned where it's got to go. And then, yeah, then I got these sweet new flat spots under here. Remember them pieces I machined earlier? Jack stand will go right underneath there. Jack stand will go right underneath this one. Bam. And then we can start attaching the shocks, the forelinks, the sway bars, all that sort of goodies. And then I can slip the outers back on. Yeah, we got all kinds of work to do. Lots of stuff to do. But we're getting closer. God, I can't get over how good that looks. So without further ado, it's time to get back to reassembling, y'all. So it's already kind of late tonight. I'll see how far I get. Hopefully I can get that center trunk in there tonight. That's the goal. That is the freaking goal. So here we go. All right, y'all, I'm calling it a freaking night. It's 1:30 in the morning, and I don't want to rush this because I still got to finish cleaning the bottom of that center chunk, and I got to slick out like the edges from where I was prying it up before, where I was putting the air hammer in there. It left some gouges, and I need to go ahead and grind those smooth so that way it gets a good proper seal when it fits down into the center chunk. But all in all, it looks pretty bitchin'. Check out where we're at. Center chunk's ready to go. Just got to lift it up, finish cleaning the bottom of it. And she can drop right in there. I got all those studs installed. That took a hell of a lot longer than I thought it would. But they're all in super tight with RVT on them, so they shouldn't back out anymore. So, gotta drop the chunk in, and then it's out to the truck. So we'll reconvene in the morning. See ya. All right, y'all. Got some much needed rest. Now we can get back at this. So I gotta lift the trunk back up, finish cleaning up the bottom side of it, drop her in, and then it's over to the truck. So let's get after it. Y'all, we officially got the new axle under the front of the truck. Whew. This is taking way longer than I thought, as usual. But she looks pretty freaking good. Freaking super dialed in. Look how much better all them brackets look. God, now that is real freaking deal. And if y'all take note, so we got like an edgy looking bracket now as opposed to the swoop we kind of had going on before back yonder. Just kind of goes with the flow of the truck a bit more because all of the truck, other than the fact that it's tubing, but everything's got kind of like an edgy feel to it. So now the axles go right along with the theme. Pretty sweet, man. Pretty freaking sweet. Super dialed in. So the next step, by the end of this weekend, I want to get this rear axle out of the truck so that we can cut all them brackets off it. Got the shock mounts off and the four-link mounts off. Yeah, and then get it repainted. But before I do that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab these outers right here, put them on either end, just like loose fit them, just kind of get like 1 or 2 bolts in. That way I can get a measurement for the new tie bar, because now that this axle is a little bit wider than the old one, I'm gonna have a longer tie bar. It should theoretically be the same size as the tie bar in the rear, but just in case something got out of whack, I want to actually put those outers on so I can get a for sure measurement and know exactly how big it's got to be. So that is the next step. And then I got one other little idea that I'm kind of working on too. I'll show you that too. If you look on these outers, so if you remember before it, there's a pocket that is in the back of this steering knuckle, like right here, and that holds a seal, and that ideally is going to keep all the 5-ton oil in the center of the axle. Now I still have these little adapter deals that the mad scientists had made me before with they originally were to go with our old axle shafts that had a seal surface right here. Well, these axle shafts no longer have a seal surface, but the finish on them is all right. It got a little rusty there, but I mean, it's still pretty smooth. So what I'm kind of thinking, just as like a backup plan, I think once I pick up these outers, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this little deal out of here, get a measurement on there, and I'd like to get a seal that will fit in where this is and go around this axle shaft. So I already do have the seal here, but I want to have a secondary seal to really have a real snowball's chance in hell. Or no, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Have a really good chance of putting all the 5-ton oil into the 5-ton and keeping it from leaking out the steering knuckle. So that is the next step. So let's go ahead and grab these outers and start getting them put on the axle. All right, y'all, well, the time-lapse camera keeps goofing up because it keeps getting rain on it, because as you can see, it is freaking raining. Typical crap I get to put up with not having to shop. One day, people, I'm gonna have a freaking shop where I don't have to worry about this crap. But it's only sprinkling, so I'm gonna put up with it. I can deal with it. So where we are at right now, let me give you a little rundown because I didn't realize that the time-lapse had stopped. Front axle is put together. I use straps to be able to kind of align the front axle of the truck so I get a measurement on how big of a tie bar we got to make. So I got that dialed in. And then I also realized once I put the truck down, like to where it was sitting on its own weight, these new shock mounts that we made, they've got a little bit more beef to them than the old ones. There's more thickness here, like between the bolt and the top. So these were actually starting to rest right there. This cup was resting on there. So I had to disassemble this and then spin these heims out a little bit just to give me a little bit of clearance. So now got about a 1/2 inch or so of clearance in there. So I had to basically disassemble everything I had just put together in order to do that, because I had to get all the weight off the shocks. Oh boy, and the rain's coming hard now. Excellent. But anyways, I had to get all the weight off the shocks so that I could pull the bolt, that bolt right there, out of the shock and then spin the heim out and then put it back in. But now we got plenty of clearance in there. And now it's time to move on over to the back axle. So, to get started, I got to move that old hunk of junk center chunk that I have had sitting there for a minute. Get that out of the way. And then I'm going to jack up the back end of the truck, take the back wheels off it, set the end down on my A-frame deal up there, put that underneath here, set the truck down on it so that I can get this axle out, because that's the next step. I gotta get that axle out so that I can cut all those brackets and everything off it and put my new super bitchin' brackets on there. So that's what we're doing now. So since I'm gonna see if I can find a better spot to put that time-lapse camera so it stops getting rain on the lens. And I might have to stop here for a little bit because of the freaking rain. So all right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel for tonight and call it a wrap on the first video for putting the axles back together. The rain will not let up. It will not give me a freaking chance. I get all my tools out there, get ready to start pulling that rear axle, and then it starts downpouring. I gotta freaking grab all the tools, hurry up and get in the barn, get the door shut and everything. Pain in the ass. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that a wrap on this video though, but we got the front axle in there. Only thing we gotta do now is bolt the outer hubs on, and there's a couple little things I wanna do to it too that I'll fill you in on probably in the next couple videos. But for the most part, the truck's on its own weight on the front, and the front axle is under the front of the truck. So, bam, another freaking step closer. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up for tonight, get back on it tomorrow, and that'll be the next video. We're gonna start pulling that rear axle and doing the whole process somewhat over again. Be a little twist on it, a little different. We don't have to do quite as much work because we're not starting out with a whole new axle housing. We're just kind of modifying the one that's already under the truck. But nevertheless, we still got a ton of work to do. So keep an eye out for that next video. That should be coming up here in the next couple days. So hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, y'all. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to check out future videos, subscribe to our channel. Hit that button right there. While you're at it, hit the like button at the bottom of your screen. You can also check out our website, KillinItLifestyle.com. There you can follow the Killin It crew and order your own apparel so everyone will know you're killing it!